everybody. Thank you for joining me in another episode of the Caregiver and Spoonie podcast. You already know my name. I'm your host, Jordan Banderas. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about dealing with doctors. And the reason why I want to do this episode is because it's hard to talk to doctors because, unfortunately, they don't want to listen sometimes. They don't want to listen to your concerns, your symptoms, or anything you bring to the table, because frankly, one of the things that I actually realized while going to so many doctors, because of my wife, like I mentioned before, she has a lot of health issues. We're going to a lot of doctors, and they have told us, multiple doctors have told us that they can only give us 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes max. And that's a huge concern because you put all this effort into going to the doctor. Sometimes you're going to be in pain. Sometimes you're just going to be frustrated, or you don't even want to go because you already know that the doctor is not going to listen. So we start to not like doctors. And that's a huge issue because if we don't have a good relationship with our doctor, our treatment can go bad, and obviously is not going to help the situation. One of the highest issues that I found with this in regards to the doctor not listening is that their ego takes over. And I don't know if this is because of TV, social media, and when I say TV, it's because of all these shows where the doctors are rich and they can save everybody because they went to a private school, or they went to school and they want to be, let's say, like Doogie Howser or somebody like that, or Dr. Oz, So they want to be sometimes famous, and their ego takes over. They don't want to listen. They think that they're right every time. When you bring something to the table, they don't want to listen to it. When you bring a new symptom, they think that you're making it up, or that you're it's all in your head. Sometimes they make you feel like it. So it's a big problem, and I have dealt with it. I'm pretty sure you guys have dealt with this a lot, and that's why I wanted to bring this, especially the ego issue, because I have dealt with some doctors that have been very egotistical in regards to my wife's health, where they don't want to provide a certain treatment, and then we go to a different doctor, and the different doctor gives us a completely different perspective, and they go and do the treatment and it starts working. It has happened with one of my wife's surgeries. One doctor didn't want to do it because I'm pretty sure he didn't feel like he could do it, even though multiple physicians said like this needs to be done surgically. She had a tear on her labrum, so this doctor flipped out on us, said like he wouldn't do the surgery because it's not needed. We went to a different doctor. The doctor said yes, this needs to be fixed surgically. Did, and when he did the surgery, pretty much the doctor said this wasn't going to be fixed on its own, not with cortisone shots or anything like that, which my wife had so many. And when I did some research about this, having too many of those shots can actually ruin your joint. So if your doctor keeps prescribing you cortisone shots, then be very careful because it can ruin your joint beyond repair sometimes, and you will need like even a harder surgery that might be even worse for your body, depending on what you're suffering of. So in regards to the ego, that's what I'm talking about, because doctors don't see like different perspectives. It's their way or the highway sometimes. One of my wife's doctors, we were asking her about medical marijuana, and the doctor pretty much said like medical marijuana gives you uh, gives you most of your issues. And when we and she pretty much told us as well, like, I know because I went to medical school and you did. So when she said that, that kind of brought a very good point, because sometimes we have to do our own research because of doctors like the one that I just mentioned. Like, she pretty much said, like, I went to school for this, you didn't, I know you don't, do as I say. That's not how it should be. So what I have been doing for a really long time, for my wife, I have done my own research when it comes to side effects, because a lot of doctors don't freaking know what are the side effects of all the medicine. So when you have, like, for example, when you take multiple medicines at the same time, well, not at the same time, but throughout the day, that can have like very severe or harmful side effects that we don't know about. Because, like, it has happened to my wife where doctors, or I have even found out online, and I asked the doctor, of course, if that's the case, that some of her medicines counteract each other. So when I asked the doctor, they finally do some research, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, she can't take those two together. So let's find a different option for this situation." And obviously that takes longer because they had to make sure that everything works together without side effects. And one thing that we decided to do for my wife, it's genetic testing, which unfortunately, I'm going to tell you right now, is not usually covered by the insurance, and we'll talk about insurance in another episode. But the genetic testing that we did, it tells us what kind of medicines work and don't work for the spooning in the situation. And one of the things that about genetic testing is that the doctor can actually see what medicines work and what medicines don't work, because one in some situations the doctor might say, like, "Oh, this is going to work because I have tried with multiple patients and it worked." But if that type of treatment or the medicines on that treatment don't actually work, because it shows on your genetic testing, like, this is your DNA showing what works for you. And the genetic testing that we did for my wife actually is very specific as to what kind of medicines don't work by name. It says by name, and what works, what doesn't work, what barely works. So when we take it to the doctor and the doctor says, and this has happened to us, "Oh, I can't read that, that's out of my scope, that's I don't know how to read it." And I'm like, "It says the name right here." Sometimes because of situations like that, where the doctor is like very stubborn, you have to change doctors. So you might have to change doctors because this doctor that you were doesn't want to listen to you and is not giving you the care that you want or the care that you deserve. So you're going to change doctors. I mean, you could change doctors if you want to, but I personally recommend it because we have done it multiple times. And every time we learn something new from the doctor, we see a different perspective. You might say, "I don't want to start over again," but to be honest, it gives you a fresh set of eyes with a different perspective, because we have done this with my wife multiple times where we feel like the doctor doesn't give us enough care or doesn't know exactly what he's doing because of the research that I'm doing online, and they don't want to listen. So we change doctors, and the doctors might agree with us or might disagree. They gave us obviously their opinion, and they try something completely different, or they try something they mix it up, and then it works. It starts to work, and I can see it because I see it with my wife. So that's just my personal belief. If you're able to change the doctor, do it. If you're not able to change the doctor, one of the things I recommend you to do is to literally have a heart to heart with your doctor and be like, "I need you to be in my team. Not Don't take this personally," because obviously we don't want them to take it personally. And tell them, like, "I want you to be in my team, and we need to listen to each other. That should work. I don't know if it will work because I haven't tried, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm gonna give you my personal opinion. If you disagree or agree, send me a message or comment on the video. And always, another thing is like, especially when you change doctors or something, or the doctor is actually passing you off to a different doctor because they don't know, ask why. The reason why it's okay to ask why is because you want to know what they're doing and why they're doing it. Because like one of the things that I can tell you right now, and I did this, it wasn't to make the doctor mad or showing my knowledge or anything like that. We went to a neurologist because my wife has migraines, and they've been doing all sorts of imaging. She also has seizures. Now they're calling it conversion syndrome, which we will talk about in a different episode. But she has conversion syndrome, which gives her seizures, and this doctor, I mean, we kind of knew that she was giving us the runaround because she's like, well, let's try this and see if it works. Well, let's do this, and it wasn't working. So one day we went to the doctor, and we decided to. Well, I mean, I decided to. Start asking a lot of questions. Like, okay, well, if this doesn't work, why don't we try this? And she's like, no. And then I keep drilling her. I keep going after her, like, like, give me a reason why. You're not giving me a reason why. And the doctor finally said, like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm going to send you to a different specialist. Or you need to go see a different specialist. Sometimes they might say. So you need to understand that and don't take that personally, because at least they say like, I don't know. Or I don't want to deal with you anymore. Let's send you to a different specialist. And like I said, you will get a new fresh set of eyes. So that should help you as well. Because another thing is that they don't know how you feel. They will never understand. Nobody will understand how you feel as a spoonie, because everybody is different. Everybody has different pain receptors. All of our brains are wired differently. They're built differently. They have found so many things about the brain, and we will talk about it in another episode. So your pain might be different than mine. Like, I know that because my wife's pain is different than mine. Like, I stab my toe, I cry, she stabs her toe, she doesn't care. Like, I hit my knee, I'm almost crying, she hits her knee, and she's like, okay. Or I hit my head, I don't care, she hits her head, she's crying. Things like that, So, in that situation, that's what I'm talking about. Like, everybody has different pain receptors and everything, so nobody's gonna understand. The doctor is not gonna be able to understand, because sometimes they might be like, I never seen anything like this, so I can't believe it. And literally, they might not be able to believe it. That's the problem. So it's a very hard situation talking with doctors, dealing with doctors. So sometimes you have to be very patient, to be honest, because like I said, we have dealt with so many doctors. We have seen so many specialists where it's insane the amount of information that they give you. So sometimes you have to become your own citizen doctor, pretty much almost like citizen scientist, which is a term that I heard about, like how people look for their own solution and then they show it to the specialist or whatever they're studying or whatever they're looking for. So that's what we should become, or citizen doctor, where we need to know more than the actual doctor sometimes, because the doctor might not have seen anything like your case, or they might be stuck in a time or in a place in their head where it's like, I can fix it by trying this and this and this, and it might be helping you, but it might not be also helping you. So I'm just talking about my experience. So that's what I have for you today. If you have any feedback about the episode, any comments, if you want to share your story, with me. You can post it on Facebook. You can send me an email so I can share it with the group, with the community, anonymously for you. And don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and overall, I love you guys. You guys are amazing, and I leave you with this: always take care of yourself. Have a great day.